Our chief guest, who is representing the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Gender, Professor Margaret Kobia. I'd like to invite her, a very special woman, not just in politics, but in government and in governance affairs. A round of applause for Honorable Rachel Shebesh.
And good evening and good morning in New York. I stand here on behalf of the Ministry of Public Service and Gender. I stand here on behalf of my Cabinet Secretary, Professor Margaret Kobia. Those who have spoken before have said what a great woman she is. I want to confirm that she is. But more importantly, I also want to confirm that we have a great president who is the top 10 in the world on gender issues and has been recognized because of the extra work he has put around issues, women and empowerment of women. And he doesn't apologize for it, and therefore as a ministry it makes our work much, much easier. I have listened to some of the remarks here, and I do know and I hear a bit of a concern that as much as a lot is being done around women and their power to consume, they are hindered by some issues that government should be taking care of, we should be taking care of. And therefore, I'm here to confirm that we are actively engaging in the issues that marginalize women and make them not able to engage effectively as men do. So Eva and Chris, I've heard your concerns, and I can assure you on issues of GBV, fighting FGM, so that the young girl can have the opportunity like any other young girl. That is our core business. On issues of empowering women to be on the decision-making table, I think our President Uhuru Kenyatta is the first person to reach the 1/3 gender rule in his cabinet, and he didn't just appoint women for the sake of appointment. We have women ministers of defense, of energy, of water, of foreign affairs, of public service. So it's not a PR exercise. But we do acknowledge 100% that we do need partnerships like that we have with you, with UN Women, and many other organizations, so that we are able to engage in a more concrete and sustainable manner. My CS, as soon as we came in, told us, what are those things you quote? Because we are very good at quoting. You stand here and you say, for example, 10% of the vote, 50% of the voters are women. And she said, who said? And we're like, but we say it. Everybody says it. And she said, who said? And we're like, show me the data. And it wasn't there. It's just something you say. So in our ministry, we don't quote anything that is not in data. And that is why every time we have engagements like we do have today, that we can quote some of the things. I mean, we are very happy, and we will always show up. We will always show up. And we walk around saying, oh, you know now, and you know we've done it also with the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the time that they were honoring the women who are also recognized in the private sector, if you remember. We quote that all the time. I'm quick to quote the banks, and but it's not us who did it. It was yourselves. And of course, when we come to branding, and KEPSA, who we work also very, very closely with. And we thank you, KEPSA, for being almost part of our ministry in terms of empowerment of women. I mean, anything we need, we are like, KEPSA, we need a bit of information. Engineers, women, where are they? How many? Where can we find them? And we are not embarrassed to do so. In government, when you are shy and you want to pretend you know things is when you fail. So we don't do that in our ministry, thanks to the leadership of our cabinet secretary. So today, even as we stand here, part and parcel of this engagement and of unveiling the top 100 most loved brands by women, we as the ministry in charge of women, we can only hope and really hope that when these brands are unveiled, as they were unveiled last time, we see a shift in something. For us, there was shift in policy, I can assure you, and I'm sure you've talked to the CS and you know it. Because in our engagement, in our funds, and one of our officers is here, Peter, who is in charge of Uwezo, we are tasked as government to inject capital to the most vulnerable groups of women, the women at Mashinani, as we say it, the mamambogas. And as we are giving out that money, many of the times when we give it out, our biggest interest is to know whether their products will have KEBS certification, so we make sure that happens. Our interest is training them and making sure that they enter into the market. But obviously, our biggest interest is to see how then do they grow. How then do they grow? And therefore, without engaging private sector like we are doing today, we wouldn't have the right compass to follow. We would be doing things haphazardly. So since, as I said, we are great with partnerships, we engage KEPSA a lot, we engage Chamber of Commerce a lot. Of course, we work closely with the KEBS and any other body that helps us to ensure that the money that government is putting, which just by the way, since our independence, in the tenure of Uhuru Kenyatta, and in the tenure of Professor Margaret Kobia, we have never given out as much money as we have at the grassroots level as we have at this point. The president also went out of his way to engage private sector in terms of banks on the SME, and you know it. And we have gotten into good partnerships where women in SMEs are getting, support to grow their business. But grow your business, how, following which, which laid out path that we can almost say, if we show them this path, then we are sure they're going to succeed, is the reason the ministry is here today, and will continue to be engaging in these very important innovations and data collection, as we are saying here. So as, if I speak more than that, and you've heard a lot of data discussed here, and I said it's not ours, my speech only has what they said, which means I just said, okay, that's said, that is said, that is said. I said, that obviously it was not our data, it was yours, so of course you have first bite on it. I will not repeat it. I will just say that I agree 100% that if we do put that extra effort, if we put that extra energy in women, in the consumer world, I truly know we will have a revolution in terms of growth of the consumer world. We have learned that when we put anything in women as a ministry, it doesn't matter where it is, whether it is in water, whether it is in infrastructure, it doesn't matter whether it's in education, you can see immediately the growth of the very sector. Not really necessarily the growth of the women, but the sector itself evolves. And just as I conclude, I am the 100% decider of what is consumed in my home. I really don't think my husband has a say. And even if he has a say, it's normally kept in the cupboard, and it probably will expire. And I'm telling you this because every time I hear it, I wonder how do people hear what we are saying? Do you understand what we are saying as brands, that we are the deciders? And therefore, I'm hoping, and I said this earlier when we were in the small room, I'm hoping that these big brands that will be mentioned today change their marketing strategy to include in their retail, wholesale, marketing, anything, the women who are in this field. This is because, as I've said, as we are engaging women at this level, many of them have these little cottage industries where they're trying to sell their honey, they're trying to sell their cheese, that they're trying to sell, and sometimes to convince them that this woman is as good as the next brand, it takes a bit of a convincing. But if you stand here today and are told that the top 100 most loved brands are A, B, and C, why would that brand therefore not make it important to also grow the woman in business to expand that very brand? And that is what I'm hoping to see as part of us unveiling these brands today, and ensure and say this without a shadow of doubt, that the same information we get here today, you will see it in the next policy pronouncement of government, like you did see in the last one. And I speak on behalf of my cabinet secretary, who is leading the delegation in New York, to say that we stand and continue to stand with this kind of engagement. I hope that this is not the last time. I'm hoping that we will also do for Africa. Even if you don't go Africa, do East Africa. Because we really, okay, let's talk about the money later. Because I really believe when the good idea is good, the money follows. Because we are also penetrating the East African market in a big way. Remember, we are in this East African community. And we are growing our markets. Many people, Kepsa will tell you, that a lot of Kenyan companies are the biggest, businesses in the region. And so therefore, this is something we can escalate to the region so that we open up our markets for our women up to the regional level. Mungu awabariki sana, asanteni sana.